Hey everyone, Matt here. Thanks for downloading Seincast. You're listening to one of our early episodes, which means the audio quality, well, it's not that good. Plus, we weren't playing clips from the show yet. Starting with the second season episode, The Chinese Restaurant, you'll notice an improvement with our new microphones and the addition of show clips to the discussion. You'll just have to put up with the audio issues until then. Rest assured, it does get better. We had a lot of fun recording these early episodes and poring over the excruciating minutia that makes Seinfeld so great. Enjoy the show.
Yeah,
George.
It's Elaine.
come on up.
Hey, Benny, listen.
I never heard anything like this in my life. Listen to this.
This is exciting! This is exciting! Huh? Did I miss anything already?
Kramer, get in.
Where's the crazy man?
Hey, sit down. Come on, it's about to start.
Hello, and welcome to Seincast, a retrospective on all 180 episodes of Seinfeld, being hosted by two guys who can barely run their own lives. My name is Vinny.
My name's Matt.
You sound like you're doing an impression of me.
I'm doing a little stretch.
Oh, that's healthy.
Yeah, we record these at, 8 a.m.?
Yep.
Getting all loosey-goosey.
Gotta get up early. Make that money.
Unfortunately, yeah, we're not making any money on this
No.
podcast.
I just like that quote.
If anything, the show is costing us money.
That's okay. Love.
There's
Love,
no
love.
joking about the
Financial crisis here at TBS. TBS? PBS.
PBS.
That was a slip.
I wanted to run something by you that hit me yesterday while I was getting ready for this episode. I don't know how deep we want to get into our personal lives on this show. Careful. But a month and a half ago, I left my job. I work in Manhattan, and I left my job to sort of take the summer off. My wife is a teacher, and we've never had a summer together. And about a week or two ago, my wife and I came to visit my parents, and we're just staying with my parents for a few weeks. And I was just sitting down getting ready for this episode, and I thought, I'm unemployed, and I live with my parents.
Oh, who does that sound like?
Yeah, I know, and I'm just like, I'm George. I'm
Yeah.
George.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
It made me laugh, and at the same time made me a little bit depressed. But we try to live Seinfeld experiences as much as possible.
Yep.
So you can cross this one off our list.
The good and the bad.
Yeah.
That just means something good is right around the corner. So maybe you'll get a job with the Yankees or play now.
We'll see.
Is anybody left listening?
Is this thing on?
Okay, I'm sorry. Should we talk about the episode?
Yeah, I think we're about done with our ranting and rambling, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta help me. I just roll out of bed in the morning and I say, Vinny, what are we talking about today? So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the Pony Remark.
Are we allowed to reference like future episodes, but also like events in the show before we break it down? But I think it's safe to assume that most, if not all, people listening to this show have seen these episodes before.
Just in case, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. No, it's funny. Just the name, the Pony Remark, it just screams like, oh, classic Seinfeld episode. Like,
I was thinking the same thing. This is one of the quintessential episodes that every Seinfeld fan has seen.
However, though, that being said, like watching it, I wasn't as blown away as I was with something like The Ex-Girlfriend. Surprisingly, I know, but sometimes it's twofold. It's like, well, we are really watching these and examining them, and I feel like Ex-Girlfriend had a little bit more like bang for its buck, like just in the joke department. I just like the interaction between characters a little bit more. And sometimes I will not be this kind of guy through the podcast, but sometimes when something is said to be the best or one of the best for so long, it almost makes you not like it as much. And I'm not trying to take like a hipster sort of approach. It's like, oh yeah, I don't like it because it's popular.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a great episode. It didn't do it for me quite as much as I thought it would.
As we'll see later on, I think it's because it's light on the George. I think that's why.
Did that blow your mind?
Yes. Whereas Ex-Girlfriend was George heavy. So
Yeah.
I think that could be one of the reasons why. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but thank you very much, everyone, for who's written in to Facebook, Twitter, and email that how much they enjoy the show and they like the format. We're always second guessing ourselves and wondering if we should change things up a little bit, which we probably will in time, but we do like to try to discuss as much trivia as possible on this show, and this one was a little bit light.
There's a lot of connections to future episodes and references that I found, so I'm excited to talk about those.
Yeah, I think we'll probably do away with our connections to future episodes segment that we used to do at the end, and we'll just kind of, bring them up when they happen in the episode, because, yeah, there are a lot this episode. Almost like this episode was, I don't know, people kept on referring back to it in those later seasons. Maybe there was just a lot of good material. I don't know. It could be, though, that this episode was nominated for 2 Emmys. One was for directing of a comedy series that went to Tom Sharonis, who was sort of the Seinfeld director for the first half of the series, and he was later replaced with Andy Ackerman for the latter half of the series. Also, good old Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld received writing nominations for this episode. I think this was their second nomination after the Stakeout from season 1. So Seinfeld's getting some attention from the Emmy department, which is nice. But a few other things to note about this episode before we get started. We meet Uncle Leo for the first time. Len Lesser came in to read. And we also get a recast for Morty Seinfeld. And this time he is played by Barney Martin, who will forever be known, I feel like, as Morty. I don't think too many people are like, hey, what happened to Ken Bruns from season 1? But all respect to Ken Bruns. It's so cool to see Morty in this episode.
I love Barney Martin, and he has the most adorable face. Like, just look at him. I don't know. I just want to I wish he was my you know what I mean? Like my grandfather kind of thing.
So you could squeeze his face and just be like, oh, look at you.
Yeah.
He's very jowly.
He is.
He's got some jowls. He's got a, what do you call that when it like hangs from your like chin to your lower neck?
We say gobble gobble, but I'm sure there's other things.
Like a turkey thing. Like, gobble.
Giblets.
I think that's the medical term.
Okay.
Larry David took credit for this premise. I don't know if this actually happened to him specifically, but he is quoted as saying that he has a lot of antisocial thoughts, and he was at a family dinner, and this idea came to him. So I feel like over time, Larry probably, and I can relate to this, probably said a lot of things unintentionally trying to offend someone and wound up really putting his foot in his mouth. Maybe we're all, guilty of doing that from time to time, but sometimes if you have no filter, it can just happen more often than you'd like. This is sort of jumping ahead a little bit, but it was around this time in Seinfeld production during season 2 that the cast confronted Larry and said that they wanted more to do each episode. This, I think, was sort of a reflection of season 1 because it's so Jerry heavy, and we even talked about this, like, a character will just enter a scene, tell a story about what happened, and then leave. The actors, like Michael and Jason and Julia, felt that they wanted, more work, and they might deserve more work. And so it was around this time that, like, Larry and Jerry made a point to really bring in more subplots to the other characters and not necessarily take the attention off of Jerry, but just put more attention on the supporting cast.
I was watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, where is George? We haven't even seen him yet. We've seen Kramer, Elaine, and Jerry. It wasn't until like 15, 16 minutes into the episode that George is in his first scene.
Yeah, and he's in the same location for both scenes. It's like, damn.
But when he's there, his scenes are great. Like, he's got good stuff. So.
Yeah, and we'll get into this. I think it really comes to not blows, but in the pen when Michael's not even in the episode. Jason's not even in the episode. Mm-hmm. And I think Jason talked to Larry about that, saying, like, if you don't need me, don't even bother putting me, like, I won't even work on the show anymore if you're not going to write me into an episode. I have to say, like, I'm really glad that, the cast, talked to Larry about their concerns and wanting more screen time, and that they actually honored that wish, because this show is not about Jerry Seinfeld. Like, it's the ensemble that makes it so good.
With the pen, though, I actually found it really interesting that there was only 2 main characters in there. So it's kind of like, they're going on this trip. So they're away from New York. So, of course, you're not going to see Kramer and George. So I kind of found that interesting that, hey, we're seeing a different perspective. We're seeing the parents, their lives in Florida, and Jerry and Elaine. So I do understand why the actors would get upset, but I also found it was kind of cool to see it from a different point of view.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. I get it. Anywho.
So, after all that rambling, let's get into our discussion of the Pony Remark. The Pony Remark was the second episode of Season 2. It was written by Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, directed by Tom Sharonis, and its original air date was January 30th, 1991. As usual, we've got our stand-up at the top. Jerry is talking about his parents and how they moved to Florida last year, and makes the point that, since they're in their 60s, that's the law. You got to move down to Florida. Now, Vinny, you can relate to this, right? Your parents live in Florida?
They live in Florida. They've been down there for 5 years, and they're in their 70s now. But they're about to move down there permanently, so they will be Floridians.
Right. They bounced between D.C. and Florida, right?
They were snowbirding it, but now they're going to be full-fledged Floridians.
How do you feel about that? I mean, do you like the buffer zone?
No, I'm a mama's boy, so I will miss them. But now with Skype and FaceTime, I get to see them whenever I want. So they're better off down there. But I do like, being in a, Seinfeldian situation. So I like having my parents in Florida. I'm up here. It makes me feel good.
Yeah. My parents are, our parents are the same age. They're in their early 70s, and they live in Indiana, and I don't think they'll ever leave.
The parents living in Florida thing, though, is one of these common themes that we'll see again and again. But I'm reminded of the episode from season 9, The Wizard, when Kramer attempts to move down to Florida and then eventually run for condo president. But Jerry says to him, Kramer, you can't live down here. This is where people come to die. And Morty and Helen look up at Jerry, and he goes, not you, older people.
You've actually dropped that line to your parents before, haven't you?
I did once, and it was a big mistake, so I should not have said that.
There's just a little bit more to the stand-up here, and it's funny about how he's not much of a family gatherer. It's usually dull conversations, and he just thinks, maybe he could liven up the scene by just jumping out the window and then coming in like nothing happened.
Now, this also reminded me of... when you're talking to people, do you ever just think, have this really abnormal thought, what if I just punch this person in the face right now?
Yeah.
Does that ever happen to you?
Sure. I'm not usually thinking of hurting them, but yeah, it's usually a harmless enough thought, though, where it's what if I just did this right now?
Yeah. So that's what the scene reminded me of. And then we also see Elaine kind of have this realization in season 9, The Maid, when she has the telephone repairman, and she's like, I could just kill this guy right now. No one would ever know.
Damn, boy.
So, I got good ones today.
And it's funny, I'm the only one that drinks coffee on this show, which you can probably tell by the rate I talk. But you've got a lot of energy. I like this.
I'm excited. Yeah. But on Jerry's stand-up CD, I'm telling you for the last time, he does an incredible bit on old people in how old people move to Florida, and he says he's like, how come old people when they drive? They drive slow, they sit low. And he's like, that the state flag of Florida should be just a steering wheel with a hat and 2 knuckles on it. And then he talks about them backing out of the driveway, and they don't even look. He's like, they just go to themselves, I'm old, and I'm coming back. But that he does so many old people jokes on his CD. It's I think everybody that watches Seinfeld should pick up that CD. It's so good.
What's it called again?
I'm telling you for the last time.
Yeah, it's a good one. Even though like you said, the material might be familiar to Seinfeld fans, it's kind of cool to hear post Seinfeld TV show Jerry do the material, because he's matured. You know what this guy's been through. He's not testing it out for the first time. It's solid material. So proper scene of the episode is in Jerry's apartment. I think the only way we could ever really notice is if we did a screenshot of every scene, but the apartment looks a little different. I know this is coming right off of The Ex-Girlfriend, and it probably is the same set, but maybe it's just the color palette. It looks very desaturated, It's just very blue and bleak. I just got that vibe. Maybe it's Morty sitting there on the couch with his Florida
with his blue pants.
Yeah. That's standard issue, right? When you move to Florida, just blue pants.
White shoes.
Yeah.
Jerry will talk about that later in his next stand-up, right? Or is it this one when he talks about white shoes, white belt, Get in the back.
Yeah, that's the next stand-up.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, Morty's on the couch. Our first scene with Barney Martin. So when you were watching this, Vinny, you just wanted to go up to him and just shake him a little bit, like just make him jiggle.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
He's on the couch watching TV at a pretty loud volume, and Helen's in the kitchen. I think ironing his jacket, just like giving him crap about it, like saying not how ugly it is. It kind of is spread throughout the scene, but she obviously doesn't like this jacket of his.
Not a fan.
The significant other just doesn't get why you still have an item of clothing.
Well, I think it's more that he doesn't want to spend money on new clothes, as we'll find out. He's like, I'm not going to buy another sport jacket for this.
You're right, man. Like, what am I saying? It's not that he's like, oh, I've got like sentimental attachment. I just don't want to. I don't want to let it go. There's a bit of Jerry stand-up in a later episode, which I don't remember which one it is, but I love it how it's about men who never throw away their underwear.
Yeah.
They just let it disintegrate like dandelion spores, and it floats away.
I feel like that's very true.
That's one of my favorites, and yeah, very true. And that's actually kind of the analogy I use whenever I have something like Morty's jacket or something that's just old and needs to be replaced.
Now, did you see in the notes about nothing, it said that in the first draft of this script, it said that Jerry's mom was called Adele?
What's up with that?
What is up with that? Now, Larry's in Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry's mother's name is Adele.
Oh, really?
So now I'm thinking, I was like, is that because you know how Larry likes to use real names from his real life? I'm like, is that Larry's mother's real name? Like that was my thought. So I didn't look into it.
Now,
but
I have a question for you, actually, real quick. You know, it's weird. Obviously, they left it as Helen, but we already met this character in season 1.
They already referenced her in the stakeout as Helen Seinfeld. So it's like maybe they could get away with Kat calling her something else, but who's pushing for that? Like, who even was like, hey, let's change this character who we've already met? The only thing I could think of was that maybe because they were bringing in a new Morty, they were going to start fresh and have Jerry have like 2 new parents. I don't know, different name with Helen, and that was the only thing I could think of. But for the sake of continuity, Larry or whoever left it the same, which I'm glad they did. I like her as Helen.
I think Adele works, but there's something about Helen and Morty we're just so used to. It's hard to let it go. The phone rings. Helen goes to the bathroom and the phone rings and no one does anything. Like, no one answers it.
Yeah.
This is my family, my in-laws too. It's like the phone will ring and no one... it's like no one gets it because they're waiting for someone else to get it, and just no one wants to talk to anyone. I feel like... But...
are you going to get that?
I'll get it. Yeah, and in the end, like, Helen winds up getting it. Great little character moments like that. Like, we still haven't even seen a main character yet. Yeah. It still works. It's great.
Now, the television is super loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry will enter and say, "Will you turn this thing down? I can hear it from the street." I'm sorry, everyone. I keep going to all these other episodes and shows, but in Curb Your Enthusiasm, season 5, the Kamikaze Bingo episode, Larry visits his father in like a retirement home, and Larry's father, Nat, is watching porn at an obscene volume. And Larry can hear it as he enters the facility. Right. So I'm seeing all these correlations, and I'm like, man, Larry David has his thumbprint on everything.
Mm-hmm. Like, old people love to listen to things loud. And we're kind of ruining the episode. If you guys haven't watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, or at least given it a chance, like, check it out. It's so good. Mm-hmm. Season 1, 2 might be a little rough compared to later seasons, but they're all great. Yeah. They're all great. They're all great episodes, but yeah, doesn't like Larry walk in and you just hear like this like woman just like moaning.
lot of profanity and vulgarities being uttered.
Yeah, it's really dirty stuff, and like it's so loud though. No one else can hear it, right? Because is everyone deaf?
His dad. Well, yeah, exactly. Everybody in the home is deaf. Only Larry has to deal with it, and he's yelling at his dad, "Turn it down."
Everyone's like everyone's just like walking around like nothing's wrong, and Larry's like looking like, is anyone hearing this? Jerry enters, has him turn it down, and
one other thing I wanted to point out about this scene: Jerry enters the apartment. He's wearing a jersey that says "Friends O' Clyde." Is that a comedy club? Is that anything in New York?
I'm not sure what Friends of Clyde is. That's a really good question.
Okay, so that's the first thing I noticed. The second thing is, if you look, Jerry is wearing a glove on his left hand. The glove is on his left hand, meaning he throws with his right hand. Jerry is actually left-handed in real life, so he writes with his left hand, and he even talked about that in his AMA that he did on Reddit. But he's ambidextrous, so he throws with his right, writes with his left.
Interesting.
And when he makes a move, he goes left. Can't go left. I'm lefty, can't go right. But so that was another thing. Thirdly, in the episode The Understudy, Jerry and George play for the improv softball team when they take on Rochelle the musical in the park. So there's another softball reference in Seinfeld. Now, in the Pez dispenser, Kramer used to be the first baseman on one of Jerry's softball teams. So at some point, I think all three of these guys were playing softball together because that's when Kramer dumped the Gatorade on Marty Benson's head. And then finally, my last connection in Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry plays softball in the season when he moves to New York for the season. So just a lot of baseball and softball, big influence in the Seinfeld universe.
He's coming home from a softball game that he won, right?
Yep.
Thanks to him, no doubt.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little slow with my baseball softball terminology, but there's a tag up.
Yeah, Jerry was playing left field, and somebody hit the ball. Jerry caught it. There was a runner on third who tagged up after Jerry caught it. Jerry threw the ball home on the fly, and the catcher was able to tag this runner out, winning them the game and ensuring their spot in the championship game.
Right. So if he didn't tag up, Jerry caught the ball, and he just started running, and he got to home run, and he got to home plate, it wouldn't have been a point, right? It wouldn't count. He's still on third.
No. So had the runner left early before Jerry caught it, the runner would have had to run back to third and tag up. So Jerry could have thrown the ball to third base and gotten the runner out. So it's subtleties of baseball.
All right. I should know this, man. I played baseball for
They're called runs, not points. By the way, did I score a touchdown?
Jerry says this was the greatest moment of his life, mainly because, this is leading to a championship game on Wednesday. Let's not forget that. It's on Wednesday. Now, does Jerry say this was the greatest moment of his life, or he's like, it's the second greatest moment of his life?
He says, it was the single best moment of my life. And his mom, who's ironing, says, some game was your best moment? And he goes, well, Sharon Besser, of course.
Do we ever meet Sharon Besser in this show?
We don't, but I have an interesting thing that's kind of relatable.
It reminded me of something from the library, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
so
you
we
go.
have. You want? May I?
There you go.
We have Sharon Besser referenced in this episode, and then in the library, Larry. In the library.
Have you seen the show?
In the library, you're mad about that run comment, aren't you?
Which might have been cut out of our conversation, so no one will know what we're talking about. But yeah.
In the library, Jerry refers to Sherry Becker, who's the woman who he read Tropic of Capricorn with. And according to Jerry, she wore an orange dress and chewed blackjack gum. But those names are too similar to not be coincidental, right? Sherry Becker, Sharon Besser.
Yeah, that's when I heard him say Sharon Besser, I'm like, isn't that the girl who he had a crush on from high school?
And as we'll find out later in the episode, Jerry refers to Sharon Besser, and he says, and George says, because Jerry ends up saying that it was the worst moment of his life, Sharon Besser, right? And he says Sharon Besser, 1973.
I think, well, to jump ahead, I thought Jerry was saying that the game that he loses was the worst moment of his life, and then I thought George just brought up the greatest moment of his life to kind of even it out.
No, Jerry says this baseball game, the second one, was the single worst moment of his life, and George says, what about Sharon Besser? Implying that he had there was an awful moment with Sharon Besser, of course.
So, there was a single great moment with Sharon Besser and an awful moment.
So Jerry says, of course, Sharon Besser, 1973. That was his single worst moment. Mm. And then if you go to the library, Sherry Becker occurred in 1971. So maybe he started dating this woman in 1971. They dated for 2 years, and it was wonderful. And then she broke up with him. You know what I mean? Like, that was kind of how I played it out in my head, even though the names don't match.
Help me off the library, because it's been a while since I've seen it. Did he ever date Sherry Becker?
Well, no, in 1971,
I thought he just had a crush on her.
He noticed her. She was developing this body in secret under these loose clothes. And then they read Tropic of Capricorn, Tropic of Cancer.
Tropic of Capricorn.
Yeah. I'm covering all my bases here.
Licorice
yeah.
gum?
Yeah.
All right, I'll stop.
But, yeah, so I like to think it's the same person.
Yeah, it's tricky. You know, with this whole thing, little bits of trivia we're throwing in there. Oh, George's name was going to be Bennett, and Helen's name was going to be Adele. Like, I feel like whoever wrote the library, I don't know if that was Larry and Jerry again, but it's definitely, I feel like they had Sharon Besser on their mind, or at least someone from Jerry's past, with the same initials.
And the years are also similar.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to note that once again in an early draft, here we go. Jerry actually cited his bar mitzvah as the greatest moment in his life. Now I wonder if they again we get back to this because I always find this just an interesting criticism of the show. How people were saying the show was too Jewish. I wonder if they took this out as kind of like a way to maybe it was a way to tap into the Gentile audience. I'm a little jealous, you know. As a non-Jewish guy, I didn't get a bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked that. I would have liked gifts. I would have liked the party.
I'd like to go to one. I've never been to one.
Yeah.
And after seeing it referenced so many times and seeing them, I'd like to see what all the hoopla is about.
Yeah, man. You bring Boggle.
Good one.
See what happens. Yeah, so if any listeners out there having a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah, let us know, and we'll crash the party.
So I'm seeing the library was written by Larry Charles. I'm curious as to why they left that name like it is.
Well, it seems like they're creating some. I mean, there are these little moments where I think the writers like creating some kind of little universe, you know, like referring to characters, and I feel like that was Larry Charles' intentions, and maybe they changed it at the last minute, or
maybe they just were like, oh, I think it's Sherry Becker, like that. You know what I mean? Like just in the table read or something.
Part of me thinks like, oh, no one would ever be that casual and be like, oh yeah, I think it's this, but at the same time, you know, you're writing 22 episodes, you might just say, who cares? No one's going to be talking about this 30 years later.
This is also back in a time when there was no there was no readily access to the internet. There was no DVD. There was no way for people to go back and look at the previous episode. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like,
well, yeah, I mean they had the scripts, but those scripts like went through some changes, like and who knows maybe what you eventually ended up with in the edit.
And we're just picking this thing apart.
Yeah.
Now, Morty Seinfeld's best moment was in 1946 when he went to go work for Harry Fleming. And what did he come up with?
Well, he came up with the executive, which is the beltless trench coat.
That we'll see referenced in the raincoats from season 5. And in the same episode, Morty says to Elaine when they're waiting in the building, he goes, Harry Fleming used to have an office in this building.
There used to be a deli on the first floor. You don't get corned beef like that anymore. That's actually one of my favorite lines, where he's like, whatever happened to that deli? And she's like,
I don't know, Mr. Seinfeld.
Just so annoyed. Harry Fleming comes up, this, and I think he comes up maybe in another episode or two.
The raincoats.
No, he comes up when Morty works, when Elaine hires him.
Oh, yeah.
To work with Peterman.
But the name is different. Doesn't he say like Herb Altman or something like that?
Oh, maybe. He might say, he might say, there you go, there's another case of the writers not...
Yeah. They're double dipping with names.
Yeah. Now, Harry Fleming, that's a completely made-up name, right?
Sounds like it.
Okay. It just gets referenced so many times, and it's so ridiculous that could be a running joke. Like, one of the minor... I mean, Morty's a pretty big character, but one of the minor characters referencing someone who we have never met. It's just like, what the hell?
I like it.
Yeah, it's great.
He mentions working with Harry Altman.
Harry Altman.
Yeah. So, that's one of the... It's like another double dip. Perhaps.
Why do they change these things?
I don't think they do it on purpose. I just think they're like, oh, I think that's the name. Go with that. You know what I mean? Like, they got so much other crap to worry about.
Dude, as someone who read, like, over 100 Star Wars novels growing up, and I'm like, this is contradicting everything, and you try to, like, make sense of it. Like this actually happened. Like, this is real life.
Did Harry Fleming have a name change? What's the deal? Okay, let's go.
So we get a little bit of setup here that the reason Jerry's parents are in town is for the 50th anniversary for Manya and Isaac. Now, Manya is a cousin of Helen's?
Yes.
I think so. I think she's a cousin. She's on Helen's side. I know that because Morty's a little. He drops a little. Drops a few complaints in there. How he doesn't really know them. Doesn't really want to go. I'm sorry. Manya is Helen's second cousin. Yeah, that's a trivia question. There you go.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one.
Yeah, real tough. Jerry wasn't, originally invited, but Helen, I guess, starts pushing him to come just for a cup of coffee, and then he can leave. And this is where we get into that. I feel like what this episode was almost built around, like the family gatherings and how you can just sort of dread seeing some family members. This case being Uncle Leo, right?
Yes.
Jerry doesn't want to see Uncle Leo because he's going to grab his arm, and Morty adds that he always talks about Jeffrey, who I guess is that Uncle Leo's son?
Yeah.
Okay. So is
Jerry's
Uncle Leo,
cousin.
So is Uncle Leo married?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. Because
I'm trying to think. Do we ever meet his wife?
we don't meet his wife, but we meet when he dates that woman. What's her name? Sylvia?
Oh, Stella?
Stella?
Yeah.
No. Stella?
There's Stella from in Florida.
I believe her name is Sylvia because he's like, she is so perfect in every way. And then Jerry's like, he's like, you're bald, you're paunchy, all sorts of weird sounds are emanating out of your body.
You're right, and we've seen Uncle Leo date other women. So either he's divorced or his wife isn't with him anymore, in one form or another. But
that's Helen. Uncle Leo is Helen's brother.
Yes,
and Jeffrey is his son, so his cousin Jeffrey. This is the first character that we see referenced, but we never end up seeing in the series, right?
Well, they've mentioned, like, that to get technical, like they have talked about characters that we never see, but yeah, I think this is the first character, if you don't include Harry Fleming, where that gets brought up. I mean, at least a dozen times throughout the show that we never see. So we have cousin Jeffrey, we have Bob Sacamano, Kramer's friend, who we haven't heard about yet, right?
Not yet. We have Corky Ramirez.
It's Ramirez.
Kramer calls him Corky Ramirez, and then we have Lomez as well. But are there any others that you can think of?
Well, it almost became like a joke for Kramer to have the friends that we never see.
Yeah, how come I never meet any of these friends that you have?
They wonder why they never meet you. Something like that. Anyways, Jeffrey is probably the family member that gets mentioned the most.
Yeah. Now Kramer enters, and I think he's about 100% Kramer now.
Yeah, he's there. Like, you could throw like a casual Seinfeld fan into this episode, and they're like, people look a little thinner, but other than that, it's there.
So now he's talking about putting levels in his apartment, right?
Yeah, this is the infamous level scene, which we'll get a recreation of it in the pilot from season 4 when Tom Pepper auditions for the role of Kramer. Sorry, did I steal your thunder there?
No, not at all.
It's funny. I love the finale to season 4 of the pilot when they finally get to film the show Jerry, the in-universe sitcom.
Yes.
I love that episode so much, and because it really celebrates, I feel like, Seinfeld and all of like the crazy things they've been up to and all the classic moments. You get like that montage of all the different characters watching the show.
Yeah.
But like the fact that this conversation winds up in that show, it's so, I don't know if this is an outdated term or an overused term, but it's so meta.
Yeah.
Especially for a show like Seinfeld that's just, hey, Wednesday nights at 9 or whatever, like it just seems like a very like in-universe joke that might go over a lot of people's heads.
Oh, I think it's wonderful.
But I love Tom Pepper's audition so much for Kramer in the pilot that when I hear Michael doing this scene, it feels weird.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, because like the Tom Pepper character played by Larry Hankin recreates the scene, and I've seen that so many times. Like I can't help but hearing Larry Hankin's delivery of this exchange more than Kramer's. So when I hear Michael Richards do it, it just feels a little weird. Larry Hankin has that like levels completely carpeted.
Oh, I'll be comfortable.
It's such like a bad like parody of Michael Richards, but it sticks with me for some reason.
Yeah, I like it.
Now this levels, you were mentioning like when Kramer came in, this is like Kramer fully formed, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's appropriate. Like from all the episodes we've watched, it's not only his entrance, but like this conversation and this idea and the way the scene is written back and forth. He's there for sure.
Now, what I love about this scene is how Jerry kind of goats Michael. He's like, I don't see it happening, and Michael kind of gets defensive. He's like, "What? I got the tools. I got the
Well, should we
plans.
set
All
up
I
real
need is-"
quick? I'm sorry.
Oh,
Should we
yeah,
set up
sorry,
what the
go
levels
ahead.
are?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
For everyone this is their first episode ever of they don't even watch Seinfeld. He wants levels, carpeted levels, in his apartment, to replace the furniture, and they're like going to be like steps, but I guess you could sit on them too, right?
And pillows
with
that are
pillows. Yeah, and it's going to be like ancient Egypt, which you can sort of picture in your mind, but whether or not it would work.
So I just thought though, this isn't the first time or the last time that Kramer will attempt to redecorate his apartment, right? He also attempts to put that fake wood wallpaper around his apartment so that it looks like a ski lodge. So it'll look like Sweden, man. And then he gets the hot tub. Is that the same episode?
I don't
Or
know.
is that different?
Maybe that's like all around the same time. It almost became like a reoccurrence, like Kramer changing something, in his apartment, or he's reversing the people, or
That's true.
He's
He's always doing something over there.
adding a screen door.
We never get a full view of his apartment. We get little rooms here and there, but we never get a full shot of what it's like.
Yeah, and I bought you. Oh, we should totally.
Oh yeah.
We're doing a lot of free promotion on this show. It's not like these companies contact us or anything, but we just like talking about stuff that that we've bought or we're interested in buying. But I bought you those blueprints, those Seinfeld blueprints, and someone, I'll try to find the link for a later episode. Yeah, someone has great website where they have all these blueprints for different apartments and houses from different TV shows, and I guess they kind of took their imagination and mapped out what Kramer's apartment would look like. Just based on, because I think he's in, you see his living room, you see his bathroom, or at least his shower, and judging how Jerry Kramer's apartment is in relation to Jerry's and how it looks from the street, you can kind of figure it out a little bit.
Because he has a window that overlooks, will end up overlooking Kenny Rogers Roasters.
That's right, and also that street corner where he sees the guy from Plaza Cable.
There you go.
Yeah, like he does have a clear view of the street below. Yeah, we never, I guess to go back to your original question, we never see like a proper shot of his apartment. In fact, I'll share this photo on our Facebook page. If anyone here ever goes to our Seinfeld on Reddit, I posted like an album of all of these like photos from when they were filming the show. Like it's usually like in the middle of a scene, or the actors have broken character for a little bit.
Production stills, right?
Yeah, kind of. I always get confused with the terminology. Like they're behind the scenes, but they're confined to the sets. And there's one interesting picture of the set that Kramer and Elaine are sitting on during it's like either The Watch or The Wallet from season 4. It's the episode when Elaine comes back from her Europe tour with her psychiatrist.
Dr. Reston?
Dr. Reston, yeah. And Elaine is making Kramer call Dr. Reston's office pretending to be her boyfriend to break up for her, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's that classic scene where he's like, how often do we do it? And she's like, 4 to 5 times a week. And he's like,
oh, baby.
It's really dark. It's like it's kind of weird. It's almost like there's like a black curtain behind them. It's so dark, but they're sitting on this, it looks like kind of like a big couch. You can't really tell. But when the lights are up, as they are in this photo I have that I'll post, it's Kramer's levels. So he does eventually build these levels.
Oh, cool.
They are,
definitely.
yeah, they are in the apartment, and they're even sitting on them. They're completely carpeted. There's maybe 2 steps covered in pillows and other crap. But it's a shame that I don't think it's a great little detail, a great little Easter egg, but you wouldn't really notice it unless you see the behind the scenes photo.
We'll definitely post that.
Yeah, definitely. So we're kind of jumping. I hope we don't discuss future episodes so much that by the time we get to them, we're like, oh no.
Yeah, we might need to pump the brakes on that a little bit. I feel that we're doing that.
Yeah.
I do like the connections though, but yeah. The thing I love about this scene is Jerry kind of goats Kramer into, saying, oh, I don't think it's going to be done, And Kramer's like, what? I got the tools. I got the plans. All I need is the lumber. And Jerry's like, I don't see it happening. And then they get into this betting business. And I love Helen, like, Jerry and Kramer going back and forth. Helen says, I don't want you betting. And then she goes right to Morty. Morty, don't let them bet. She hits him. That's so mom-like to just like interject in the conversation. And she's like, don't do it. And then she's like, telling her husband to do it. I love that because I remember that growing up. That was a big thing with my family. Like the mom, kind of like telling people what to do through the father. Yeah. Like using him as like a little puppet. Mm-hmm. And this ends up being the first reference to Kramer's gambling problem that will be seen throughout the series. So perhaps he comes up with the idea to not gamble, but like make a bet with Jerry that he can get it done, right? Mm-hmm. He doesn't say he doesn't allude to the fact that he had a problem, right? But no. Well, I was going to say or propose, could this be what sets him off? We don't really know when Kramer had this gambling problem. Like, was this during the show or was it before the show? He just says, I used to have a problem. Because well, I guess it could go either way. Like, you could say it happens during the show because no one says he has a problem. Because it's something everyone's very aware of later in the show. Uh-huh. Just funny audio-wise, Deb. But I like to think it happened even before this. Like maybe that's why Kramer never leaves or never does anything because he's I don't know, he's blown all of his money or well, who knows? It's obviously ongoing. But one thing to note, and this was a behind-the-scenes tidbit, tying this into betting, is it was around this time there were early plans for Kramer to actually become a millionaire in the show, which is kind of weird because I think it would have just been a way to explain why he can afford everything he does, like why we never have to see him work, why he never leaves the apartment, because he's been sitting on all this money. But they obviously dropped that subplot. I don't really think it's necessary, right, to explain. Yeah, I like the idea of him falling ass backwards into money as his thing. And it's never explained, yeah. I guess we should set up too that, when Helen's trying to get Jerry to go to Manya's, he, I guess, says that he and Elaine have plans, right? Yes. So that's why in the next scene, Jerry and Elaine are both at Manya's anniversary party. Oops, before we get into the next scene, we actually had to stop recording. Vinny, you got a little bit of news, right? This is real life interfering with the podcast. Yeah, the podcast was put on hold for a sec. I got a text from my buddy. They posted the scores to the NAPLEX, which is the National Pharmacy Licensing Exam. I just graduated from pharmacy school, so I was studying for my boards, and I passed. You're a licensed pharmacist, right? Yes, I am. But you're basically a doctor, right? I mean, people do call you doctor. Yeah. Can I introduce you as doctor? Yeah, that's fine. All right, that's all I wanted to know. Okay, nice. We stopped recording mainly so I could pull up that exchange. I just wanted to... Totally worth it. Well, congratulations, man. That's huge. Thank you. Feels pretty good. Now let's get back to the show. All right. Next scene is at Manya's apartment. This is just awesome set design. Mm-hmm. You got the huge oak table. You got the, I don't know. I imagine they're doilies. Just this in my head. I just imagine there being doilies and a lot of antiques and tchotchkes everywhere. But yeah, great set design. So the first thing we see is Elaine sitting at the small table. So she's about 3-4 inches lower than everybody else, and she looks like this little girl. That was actually Tom Sharonis, the director. That was his idea, was to place her at a smaller table. He thought it would be funnier and add to the scene, and I think it really did. And of course, Jerry is sitting next to Uncle Leo, who we are seeing for the first time. Len Lesser is just, God, what can you say about Uncle Leo that hasn't been said? Only Len Lesser could play Uncle Leo. Yeah, man, he's so good. He's someone who we see up until the final episode of the show. He's so really he's one of the longest running side characters. I never really thought of that. Yeah, you're right. Season 2, and that was something I also thought was kind of interesting. Was in the stakeout, Jerry had his entire family there. They were getting ready to go to that wedding. But Uncle Leo was nowhere to be found. And you thought maybe that would have been the Uncle Mac role, perhaps? Well, if they had established him earlier, yeah. I mean, Uncle Leo would have definitely been... He's not a carbon copy of Uncle Leo, the Uncle Mac character. Not at all. But he's definitely, seems like a talker, and maybe, Jerry's a little, all right, Yeah, the annoying uncle that you kind of have to be like, yeah, I got you. Yeah.
we're getting some great Uncle Leo stuff in this early scene. Nothing too quotable in later seasons, but it's
True.
all about Jeffrey, which is perfect. He is the parks commissioner is recommending Jeffrey for a citation, and I don't know who came up with this, but it's Jerry's like, oh, for reducing the pond scum.
No,
The walking tours.
Oh, right, the edible foliage tour. Now, is that a real thing in New York? I never heard of that.
I don't know about an edible. I mean, I guess there's got to be some plant life in the parks that you could eat. Just getting back to Len Lesser, he's just so good in his delivery because, like the Uncle Leo character, I think half of it's on the page. Like they've already set him up. Who this person is just based on, he just talks your ear off and, you know.
He's an arm grabber.
Yeah, everyone knows someone like this, but Len Lesser has this amazing ability to like take pauses every time he tells Jerry something, so, like waiting for Jerry to react to it or say something.
So in the inside look of this episode, casting director Mark Hirschfeld was kind of recalling Len Lesser's audition for the Pony Remark. Everybody in the room was laughing, and then they interviewed Len Lesser as well. Len Lesser is looking at the script and he's saying, "What are they laughing at? There's nothing funny at what I'm saying." And then he repeated more lines, and then they continued to laugh. And the entire time he's thinking, what the hell are they laughing at? And Mark Hirschfeld, again, just said he was so natural in the way he played that character that he was just a shoo-in to play the role of Uncle Leo.
I think Barney Martin had a similar casting experience, right? Where
they stopped it in the middle of the audition and said, that's it, you got the part, we're done. Jerry often says in interviews that they were just so incredibly blessed to get Barney Martin, Len Lesser, Jerry Stiller. They got so many great people that came along, during their run that they just were very fortunate.
Like the people on the show, like weren't well known, I feel. Whereas like with Everyone Loves Raymond, like people know Peter Boyle, the actor, Raymond's dad. I think people know the mom. I feel like they've been around a lot, but I don't know if like Barney Martin and Liz Sheridan and Len Lesser were that famous.
I never knew of them until watching Seinfeld. And didn't you find it interesting that a lot of these older characters from Seinfeld ended up in other sitcoms after Seinfeld ended its run? Yeah. So Jerry Stiller and the actor who played the doctor in the Junior Mint.
Oh, he went on?
They were both in King of Queens.
Oh, there you go. Newman. Wayne Knight was on Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah.
You were going to say Len Lesser was in something?
He was actually in 9 episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, really? Who did he play?
Yeah, a character named Garvin, but I'm not too familiar with the series to know what role that was.
I'm only going to mention this part because it ties into a reoccurring mention, but Uncle Leo's like, whenever Jeffrey has a problem with a big shot with the Parks Department, you know who he calls?
Mickey Mantle?
Yeah. I don't know.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because I actually I was thinking back to, I was like, wow, I think there have been a lot of Yankee players referenced through the series. So, this off the top of my head, I thought of Mickey Mantle, this scene, and then he's referenced in other episodes. Joe DiMaggio is referenced in the note. Danny Tartable and Buck Showalter are in The Chaperone and the Pledge Drive. Paul O'Neill was in The Wink, and Babe Ruth was referenced in The Millennium. Nothing more than a fat old man with little girl legs. Bernie Williams and Derek Jeter in The Abstinence. And then I just happened to Google Seinfeld baseball players. There is an obscene amount of players that are either have a little guest spot or a cameo, or have just been referenced throughout the series. And so I'll give you the website. The website is it's made by the Bleacher Report, which is some sort of baseball website, and we'll post the link as well.
Getting back to the scene. I guess we should also say before we transition, Mickey Mantle, the 7 comes back. This is the 7th episode too of Seinfeld, so Mickey Mantle, number 7. Oh, there you go.
And he comes back in the 7, which is in season 7.
There you go. All right, good night.
Thank you, everybody.
So I guess Jerry makes a jokes about the peas being full of what is it?
These peas are bursting with country fresh flavor.
Now Jerry's obviously trying to be funny, right? Because even later he's like, "Oh, I can't eat dessert. My ankles swell up, and I can't dance."
I think he's being funny, but like the impression I got is that he's conveying this attitude of like he doesn't want to be there, but he's still being polite. but he's also sticking it to them in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a joke about this, like, kind of, because he's kind of being a jerk, like, not mean, but
Is
it's
that
obvious.
passive aggressive? What is that?
He's being a smartass.
And even Elaine says, "Phenomenal peas."
I didn't know how to put this into the show, but one of my favorite moments in this episode, is when Helen asks Manya, "Did you hear Claire's getting married?"
Yeah.
And Manya goes,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, she's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. It's so weird.
It's funny.
Yeah, okay.
It's very, very funny. Yeah.
Helen helps set up through this girl Claire, I guess. I'm interested if Claire, I guess, is a family member. So it's another, if you make a Seinfeld family tree, she's on there somewhere.
Yeah.
That the guy she's marrying has some racing horses, and that gets some, I guess, Jerry on the topic of, I don't know, maybe he's being kind of cocky with the whole comment about the peas and the dessert. He's like, oh, and I'm going to make fun of ponies, like it's his, or of horses. It's his almost not a defense mechanism, but it's how he maybe just keeps himself entertained, makes jokes. And that gets into the whole premise of the show, which is he hates any kid that ever had a pony.
When they were growing up.
I'm kind of jumping the gun, but it's a snowball sort of from what Jerry makes fun of horses, and then Elaine brings up ponies and kids that had ponies.
Yeah, and those kids that had ponies growing up. And he's like, I know, they're the worst. In fact, I hate anyone that ever had a pony when they were growing up.
Manya's, of course, has the classic line,
I had a pony.
Everybody looks up from their plate at Jerry, and it's really awkward. And now Jerry's forced to backpedal.
yeah, and just be like, oh, God. I can't think of anything specific, but this has happened many times for me, just doing your best to dig yourself out of a hole.
Oh, I also noticed in the scene when Jerry's backpedaling and he's like, who wouldn't love a, kid that had a pony? If you look closely, it looks like Barney Martin is kind of cracking a little bit. Like he's laughing at Jerry. And I always love when the actors are kind of enjoying the scene along with the audience.
Yeah, I like this sort of situation where it's Jerry against like a crowd of people and no one's saying anything. It's great tension and really, it's really funny to see Jerry just spotlight on him. He's trapped. He has to defend himself, and there's no way of getting out of it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the other guests? This is after I guess Manya leaves. She's like, I've had enough, and she walks off. Do you think the other guests are mad at him, or are they kind of like, this is awkward, I'm just not going to say anything? Like, cause
I think it's more the latter of they're just in shock that, like, of all the things that came out of his mouth, he said that, and it happened to be directly related to Manya, who had a pony growing up, and she ended up being so passionate about this pony. You know what I mean? Like, it was just the perfect storm of circumstances.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, was everyone like, Jerry, we all know Manya had a pony growing up, why would you say that? Or is it just more like, oh my God, like, this is really, like, just awkward in general? Jerry even, I think, starts earlier the episode saying, I don't even know her that well.
Yeah, he only met her, what, three times or so? Something like that? So he probably didn't know.
Yeah, so is this Jerry going into the situation not knowing when he should have known, or is it just a bad case of luck?
Depending on how much Manya loved that pony, she may have mentioned it in the 3 encounters they had, but I would chalk it up to being just bad luck.
Right, yeah, maybe it's a little bit of both, but the fact that no one's saying anything makes me think that, like, no one really knew, kind of, like, Jerry's somewhat innocent in that regard, but...
What's nice, it's him versus the room,
Yeah. Next scene is in Jerry's apartment. His parents are getting ready to leave, since they went to the anniversary dinner. Jerry is still feeling bad about the experience and hopes it didn't ruin the trip. But I think Helen, it's weird. Helen, I think, thinks it's not that big of a deal, but he should give Manya a call, maybe to apologize or to clear the air, which it's kind of awkward. It feels awkward more than anything, almost like no one really knows what he should do. It's left kind of like up in the air, like whether or not Jerry's comment really hurt her that much.
Well, I think we find out that it really hurt her.
Kramer enters before the Seinfelds leave, and Morty asks about the levels, of course, and what does Kramer say?
I decided I'm not going to do it.
Right. And Jerry's like, oh, what a shock, what a surprise. And the Seinfelds leave. To note, we both pointed at each other at the same time.
There we go. So Morty says goodbye to Kramer, and he calls him Mr. Kramer. Or, as you like to say it, Mr. Kramer. So this is the first inference of Kramer being his last name. Because up until now, everybody's just called him Kramer. So you assume, Kramer's his first name.
Yeah.
But Kramer is, in fact, his last name. And it's not until the switch in Season 6 where we learn what Kramer's real first name is.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I also found it interesting. Michael Richards or Kramer pours milk into a glass, but he pours like the tiniest amount possible.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And it jumps out at me for some reason.
It's almost like, it's like, I don't want to waste a whole, maybe the actor's like, I don't want to waste a whole glass of milk or something, or I don't want to.
I thought he was just focusing on his lines that he, didn't, I don't know. It's not a realistic pour.
After the Seinfelds leave, Jerry, delightfully asks Kramer when he's going to get his dinner. I don't know if we mentioned that. That actually was the bet, right? It was,
yes.
It was dinner and dessert.
With dessert. Mm-hmm.
A big dinner and dessert, whether or not Kramer does his levels.
Originally, Kramer said by the end of the month, and Jerry said, I'll give you a year.
Yeah, right. So he had plenty of time to do this. And Kramer doesn't think he owes Jerry a dinner because the bet's off. He says he doesn't want to do the levels, and Jerry argues, well, it's not a bet whether or not you want to do the levels, it's whether they get done or not, and they're not going to get done now that you don't want to do them. Does Kramer have any leg to stand on here? Is he...
Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry won completely, right?
I can bet you that I want to do something. We could bet things like that all day long.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any way to defend Kramer here. Even if he came over to Jerry 5 minutes after they made the bet, and he's like, Jerry, I don't want to do the levels anymore. The bet's off. He still would have lost.
Yeah.
But Kramer, again, kind of gets him out of doing a nice dinner at Mendy's or, wherever they're going to go.
You notice how Kramer was actually pissed when Jerry's like, what about the levels? The bet is the levels. And he's like, I don't want the levels. And then the phone rings and you see Kramer go, man.
Really
he's kind of mad.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of miffed.
He's so full of it though. I think Kramer knows that Jerry's right.
Yeah.
Right? Or I don't know. I don't know if Kramer really believes what he's saying. Anyways, on the phone, we hear just a one-sided conversation, but I think it's Uncle Leo.
I would think it would be Uncle Leo, yes.
Yeah. And this is such a great moment. At first, it gets a little too... I know you hate it when I bring this up, but when the show gets a little dramatic, Jerry, he's like, oh my God, runs to the window and shouts down to his parents, and he's like, Mom, up here! And he's like, don't get in the cab.
Yeah.
Manya died! And for some reason, I could just imagine the show fading out to commercial right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really dramatic. But then he goes,
Manya died!
Love that.
In proper Seinfeld fashion. From tragedy comes humor.
I like whenever the drama can be diffused with a goofy moment.
Now, this is our first Seinfeld death, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Now, I wanted to go and kind of look and make a list of, okay, who's died throughout the Seinfeld run. Mm-hmm. But I Googled it, and somebody on an Angel Fire website
already did it.
And it's pretty good. They go through all the people that have died. I sent you the list. You want to take a look at it?
Oh, so these aren't people necessarily that died in the show, but that they've mentioned has died.
Yeah, so it's like what constitutes a death?
It's alphabetical, and at the top of the list is Aunt Baby.
I had an aunt that died at 7. Really?
Aunt Baby. Wow, yeah, this is a great list. There's about, I don't know, maybe 30-some people here, 40 people. Mm-hmm. They have a list of animals that have died on the show.
Yeah.
I guess this is a great list. We'll add this to the show notes as well. It's much more interesting if we're sitting here wondering, I wonder how many people have died. But when you see the list in front of you, you're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
The scene kind of, I don't know if we go to a commercial break or if it kind of just, blends into the next scene, which is the Seinfelds coming up with their luggage. And I like this little character moment with Morty. I guess he's a bit of not a cheapskate, but he's frugal.
He's frugal,
yeah,
yes.
Frugal. He's upset that they lost the Super Savers. I guess these are tickets that you get a big discount on at the airport, but they're non-refundable.
So, and that actually, this was the first instance we see of his frugality. So I thought of a couple things. I didn't get all of them, but In The Wizard, he only tips 12.4%
Oh yeah.
on his meal because they didn't bother to refill the water or the Coke. He didn't want to buy a new sport jacket for the funeral.
Yeah.
Which in this episode, which we'll end up seeing. And then I think it's the Kiss Hello when they find out that Uncle Leo owes Helen $50.
Oh yeah.
He does all those calculations to compound the interest that Uncle Leo's accrued over the years.
Right.
Now, when they go on the cruise, or is it the raincoats as well when they got or when they go to Paris, they got non-refundable tickets? Is there something like that?
Oh,
too?
maybe. But you mentioned raincoats. He gets really excited with Kramer, or I guess maybe Kramer gets more excited when they have the idea of selling the raincoats to to Rudy. Is it not Rudy's?
Rudy's.
Is it Rudy's? Rudy's. He gets very excited there too, like just the idea of like making a little extra cash.
So that's not saving money, but that's
just the idea, yeah, of him like making a little money on the side. Really nickel and diming Uncle Leo for the money.
Mm-hmm.
He's not cheap. Like George is cheap. Morty is more careful with money. Let's say that. And of course, that I think later in the episode we'll get into this too. But this does remind me of George. Non-refundable tickets with the airport, where he was going to buy the tickets and return them and keep the air miles. Just that idea of non-refundable tickets. Mm-hmm. It's so weird. Like that's come up at least twice in this show.
Mm-hmm. So I think they're trying to figure out how Manya died, and I don't know how it comes up. Maybe it's just one of those things. And then Helen goes, unless, kind of implying that it may have been Jerry's fault, because Jerry goes, "What? You don't think I killed her?"
Yeah, Helen's like, she had a healthy checkup with a doctor.
There you go.
Yeah, and she's like, what could have happened? She was so healthy, and unless Liz Sheridan is so good, where after that part you mentioned where Jerry's like, "What? You don't think I killed her?" And Liz Sheridan or Helen is like, "No, she was an old woman." She like turns to the side. She's so good.
Yeah.
A little bit of doubt.
So now the funeral is going to be held next Wednesday, right?
Wednesday at 2, yeah.
Are funerals usually held on weekdays?
Yeah, Jerry gets into that later. He's like, who has a funeral on a Wednesday? But I don't think you really get a choice on the matter.
Because I know, there's wakes and then there's funerals. I don't know. I know wakes are usually during the week. I didn't know when funerals were. I could be wrong.
From some of the Jewish funerals I've been to, they are buried like, I think is it someone that helps out here? I think it's like 24 hours after the death. Like there's sort of, like guidelines to follow. I think it's safe to assume that Manya is Jewish. Just talking objectively about death and funerals. Like once you embalm someone, can you wait around really that long? 5-6 days until you have the funeral?
I don't know.
Yeah.
My uncle's actually a mortician, so he'd be a good guy to ask on this.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think probably the only reason Jerry is upset it's on a Wednesday is because he has a softball
of course.
championship game on Wednesday. Like around the same time, he has it at 2:45.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're in Jerry's position and you said this horrible thing to this woman, which possibly have killed her, and you had a prior engagement on the same time as the funeral, and you felt responsible, would you feel obligated to go?
Yeah, like I feel really, really bad. One, if I said this thing to her and she had died. Mm-hmm. But whether or not I would go, man, see, the thing that's weird is I like to avoid awkward situations. And I feel like it would be really awkward if I went to it, because if anyone's there from the dinner, they'd be like, "Hey, you made this really awful comment to her, you made her upset, and now she's dead." Like
all eyes would be on Jerry.
Yeah, so that's what I'd be more willing to leave because I felt awkward than, I had like a prior engagement. I think what Jerry did was the right thing. Like, I don't believe, I guess there's like a sense of karma, but I don't think it's as exact as Manya's watching you and she's going to punish you if you don't go to her funeral. What about you, though?
I'd go out of respect, but I really would not want to go out of wanting to avoid that awkwardness.
Next scene is a little bit of stand-up to kind of get into the second half of the episode, which is about death. Jerry has that has a nice little bit about how we don't understand death. Case in point, we give dead people a pillow when they're in the coffin. I feel like the audience is like, they find it funny, but they're like, oh, like, kind of like, oh, it's getting a little dark here for a second. And if you can't beat death, how does bedding accessories help?
No, and then they put the guy in a suit.
Yeah.
So what is this guy going to a meeting, or is he catching 40 wings? Come on.
Oh, I love that. I'm not, I've been fortunate. I haven't been through too many funerals in the past, 10, 15 years. A lot of the people, relatives in my life died when I was really young. So that's when I was really around funerals and stuff, and it felt normal. But now that I get older, it's a bit odd, I think, how we handle death in this culture. The idea of, buying a really expensive coffin and putting this person in a really nice outfit with a pillow and putting makeup on them as if they're still living and putting in the ground. And as I get older, it just seems a little bizarre. I know it's a big part of our culture, so it's kind of hard to get people on your side, but
trying to change the system?
Yeah, right.
Well, isn't it it's more of for the living to help them grieve, right? Is going through this process versus this deceased person.
Yeah, they're dead. What do they care?
Mm-hmm.
I've always, had the mindset of just like when I'm dead, whatever. Like, doesn't really matter. Like, it's getting a little dark here. And so the next scene is at Monk's, and dude, I watched this episode maybe a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about this conversation here. This has become one of my favorite Seinfeld conversations of all time.
Really?
Like, I might put this in my top 10. Every episode of Seincast, I feel like we talk about something that gets a little real, like a little serious.
Yeah.
Like usually it relates to like Jerry's like kind of outlook on life. I guess before we get into it, we should set up what the scene's about. But
so Jerry, George, and Elaine are sitting in Monk's. The game is at 2:45. The funeral is at 2. And then Elaine asks, how long do funerals take?
Mm-hmm.
About an hour. And then he says, but you got to figure, even Oswald took 45 minutes. And, of course, they're referring to Lee Harvey Oswald. Jerry says, if the situation was reversed and Manya had a Mahjong championship, I wouldn't expect her to come to my funeral. And Estelle Costanza plays Mahjong with her friends in the handicap spot episode. I like that.
Old lady game.
Yep. Mahjong. So this is the first time we actually see George in this episode, which is we're really deep into the episode before we even see him.
Yeah, I don't know what minute this is. It's got to be maybe like
it's like
16. 16?
I think
oh
so.
Oh my god.
And this, as you mentioned earlier, this could have been the reason, or one of the reasons, why Jason and some of the other actors pulled Larry aside and talked about not servicing their characters properly, because he only had a few lines in this episode.
And they're only about a baseball game, really. Well, I mean, there's other topics, but it's like,
yeah, George narcissistically interrupts while Jerry and Elaine are having this conversation about death and meaning of life, and George just blurts out, I don't see a situation where I'll ever see myself having sex again. And then he flicks the sugar pack, and he's like, I just don't see how it could occur. And then he goes back to his thing, and then Jerry and Elaine just continue to talk about their conversation. They don't even acknowledge George.
Yeah, it's almost could George possibly be dead in this episode?
Perhaps, yeah.
And he doesn't realize he's a ghost? Okay, never mind. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, like they really are shoehorning in as much material as possible for Jason.
It's a really funny line, and the way he delivers it is great.
Yeah.
And I also thought when he says he doesn't see a situation where he could have sex again, I was thinking, who's his last girlfriend? And his last girlfriend was Marlene.
Yeah.
So maybe that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're right. Because they're on the verge of breaking up. So, but yeah, she probably was the last one.
Yeah. So then the gang discusses the meaning of life, or the meaning of death, and how do you not waste your life,
Yeah, this is something that just really takes me by surprise whenever I watch this episode, because it's really deep, I think, and it's really like just kind of, it's beautiful, and it's sort of sad, and it's existential, and it's just a nice, I guess it was Larry and Jerry, but whoever came up with this sort of like mindset. This sounds more like Jerry, just thrown in here in the middle of this like comedy show discussing life and like what's wasting life, and is it wasting life to be with friends having coffee? Like,
it complements the funny and the serious. They're complemented very well, and they mesh very well. What is wasting life? You know.
I wish Seinfeld had a little bit more moments like this. I thought this could be kind of like a cool way for the show to get dramatic, to get serious in the middle of all the the funny stuff, without it being about like, oh, is he in love with her? Is she in love with him? Kind of crap that we're used to in sitcoms. But just have these little like moments where you're really reflecting on life and existence. And
So 2 other things. They also bring up Isaac. What's he gonna do? He's going to end up moving back to Arizona.
Isaac
Phoenix.
is Manya's husband.
Manya's husband. And Elaine, asks, what's going to happen to that apartment, And in the notes about nothing, they say that Elaine's interest in Manya's apartment was added during rehearsals. So this could be another example of Larry and Jerry kind of, like you said, shoehorning in more plot for the other characters.
Right. Elaine was, I mean, in a weird sense, like Elaine's just like kind of a spectator at dinner, She's just sitting there watching it. George is there to remind the audience about the baseball game. It's really thin.
Yeah,
thin
very Jerry-centric story here.
They do have a little bit of a debate, too, about like whether or not, Manya would care if Jerry went to the funeral. And they kind of have this debate about whether dead people care who's at their funeral. And Elaine argues maybe she's there in spirit. George brings up the great point, like if spirits can travel all over the place, like why would they want to hang out at, what is it, Drexler's funeral home on Ocean Parkway?
Yeah, nice.
Which is a little nice. I like how specific it gets, but it is always a good point. Like I never really understood the idea of spirits and like why would they be there? Like why would they be like just sitting there watching, judging everyone? Like it's a very again, like you were saying, like funerals are more for the living. I guess it's just a way to comfort those who have lost someone, as opposed to have any real logic behind it. I feel like I'm really, I feel like I'm pissing people off.
You want a tissue? What's going on? We mentioned the apartment. We hopped around a little bit, but the apartment. Jerry says that Isaac and Manya had been there since World War II, and the rent is only $300 a month.
That's insane.
Is that even possible?
Later on, they say they live on West End Ave, which is do you remember? Sorry, listeners. Do you remember when we parked in a garage once? I don't remember what we were doing, but maybe we went to see a movie. I don't remember, but we parked over by Lincoln Center. Remember, we found that really small garage. It was off the beaten path, and it was really cheap.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyways, we parked on West End Ave before.
Funny guy.
But $300 a month is just insane. I don't know that much about New York real estate, but you always hear those. I think they come up more in TV shows than they do in real life. But that apartment that's just a steal. It's
like a rent-controlled building.
Yeah, rent-controlled building, or you inherit it, whatever. But I'm sure there's a lot of apartments like that. I don't know if they're as low as 300, but they're definitely a steal. Only thing is, I doubt the apartment's really been updated since World War II. It's probably a little old.
So okay, so when it's all said and done, who's more responsible for killing Manya, Jerry or Elaine?
Oh, Jerry. I mean, he's the one that made the comment, and it was his. He was. I think he's being a little arrogant. I think he was being a little cocky. He's like, I don't want to be here. I'm gonna like be a smartass and let people know that I like don't want to be here, but I don't want to come off as rude.
He's kind of taking a dump on what everybody has to say or whatever the topic of conversation is.
Yeah, and he took it too far, too. Like, Elaine could have gotten in trouble a little bit with her comment, because she's like those kids that had ponies. And if it stopped there, Manya could have been like, I wasn't one of those kids with a pony. Or, what do you mean kids with ponies? And then she could have, backpedaled. But Jerry just took it way too far.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'd say Jerry is probably most responsible for delivering that line. But who knows if Jerry's comment, did do her in. Isaac says in the dinner scene that she's not feeling well, or she hasn't been feeling well.
True.
So she might have been on her way out anyways.
An earlier draft of the script, this scene ended with Jerry saying, I know the first thing I'm going to do when I'm dead. I'm going to find out what happened to that soft gray sweatshirt I had with the hood. And George replies, that was a nice sweatshirt. Which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, you know why some of these lines are cut. They're just like, oh, all right.
I still love hearing about him, though.
Mm-hmm. So the next scene is the funeral, and I forget the actor's name, but it's the therapist cop guy from the Terminator movies.
Terminator!
Like, oh, you're that guy.
Yes, I am.
He's giving a eulogy. I guess he's the funeral director. Who knows?
So this is our first funeral. We had our first death, now we have our first funeral. Can you recall the other funerals that they've had in Seinfeld?
Oh my gosh. You have one for Susie. Let's see. You have one for Susie.
Yes.
Good.
And I'm talking actual ones that they had to be physically present at, not a reference to one. I got 4.
Oh, hang on. You have the one that George is at with the death certificate.
Bam. Aunt Clarice.
Aunt Clarice.
That's in the implant.
Implant.
The Susie is in the Susie.
The Susie. Oh, what else? I don't know. What do you got?
We got the secret code.
Oh yeah. Peterman's grandmother.
Peterman's mother.
Oh, mother.
Okay. And then the final one is in the scofflaw.
Gary Fogel?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
But you never go to his funeral, do you?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah. Good call. That's the one where like Jerry and Elaine are having like a normal conversation, and there's just like people weeping.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, I have nothing to wear. I open my closet. There's, I got nothing.
Love that. I'm sorry, all respect to the actor, but the guy from Terminator.
Let me look
he's
him
talking,
up. Hold on.
He's talking about Manya, and he gets on the topic of her pony. I guess that like everyone knew about, and she was so popular, and she loved this pony. And there's that great line as Jerry's just like, burying his face in his hand because he's like, this stupid pony. Why didn't I know about it? The guy adds that the pony and Manya were the pride of Krakow, which is really funny.
And he delivers it with such gusto too.
Yeah.
That actor's name is Earl Bowen.
I'm still calling him the guy from Terminator, right? I'm never going to remember that name. Mm-hmm. Again, this theme of digging the knife into characters, mm-hmm. We're getting that a lot in these early episodes, just making them feel horrible mm-hmm. for what they did.
May I say one other thing I noticed?
You may.
Thank you.
I'll allow it.
Did you notice that Morty was wearing a new suit?
Oh, no, he's not wearing the jacket.
Nope, Helen made him buy a new suit.
Oh, there we go. Nice. Mm-hmm. See, now you're doing something.
Thank you.
Yeah, so now we're at the, what do you call it, the after party,
there you go.
Right? Isn't that the correct term
mm-hmm.
for funerals? It bounces between a few characters here, the scene. We have Jerry, thinking about the softball game, the championship game, it's starting now. Morty's having a conversation, I think with his nephew, because the nephew calls him Uncle Morty.
Yeah.
The nephew is explaining that he's not a doctor yet, he's just an intern, which reminds me of...
Ben Gelman?
Ben Gelman from played by Bob Odenkirk from The Abstinence. Mm-hmm. He's telling Elaine, I'm not a doctor yet. So it reminds me of that a little bit, and you find out that I think Morty wants him to write him a bereavement or some kind of letter that gives him a bereavement fare, right?
Which again is brought back in later episodes.
So yeah, this is tied into 2 different episodes. I like that a lot, and it comes back. At least the bereavement fare. I think that's the thing we can focus on the most here. Mm-hmm. Morty's they don't care. They just want to see something. But what is it exactly? So thanks to the Notes About Nothing, they were able to share some info here. You need the name of the deceased, your relationship to the person, the name, address, phone number of the funeral home, date of the funeral, in order to get bereavement fare. But if the funeral happens and then you're trying to get the bereavement fare, you do need a copy of the death certificate. Okay. So I always thought that was made up for the show, as a joke, mm-hmm. But it's true, apparently. On the other side of the room, I guess Uncle Leo grabs Jerry and starts talking to him more about Jeffrey, switching parks to Riverside.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, so he'll have to... This is the best line. He's he's going to have to completely revamp what he did in Central Park. Mm-hmm. And that's it. It's the most obviously he's going to do to Riverside whatever he did to Central Park, but the fact that Uncle Leo has to say it.
No, but then he says, "So, that's your cousin." I also noticed that when they cut to Jerry and it starts raining, he looks out the window and he's not discreet at all in kind of showing his feelings. He says, he's like, it's raining, that's great. The game will get postponed. Like, aren't you supposed to be somber at a funeral and kind of, I almost felt like that was one of those transitional periods from old Jerry to newer Jerry where he doesn't care as much about, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see what you're saying. I didn't really see him being rude there because it's like, the funeral's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I haven't been to a funeral in a long time, but there's usually a point at a funeral, I think, where people, well, I guess depending on the funeral and just the tone, where like you can start having casual conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's one of those, like maybe no one's like really choked up about Manya's death, so they can have more casual, talk. Morty is arguing with a guy.
That's true. Yeah, he doesn't care either.
Yeah, no one cares. Could we go back real quick? Sorry,
Yeah.
I know I'm really going over this. Jerry and Elaine apologize to Isaac, Manya's husband or widower, about what happened the other night. The Pony Remark. I think someone in this scene or another scene mentions the Pony Incident, which I'm like, what if the episode were called the Pony Incident instead of the Pony Remark?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it has to be Remark. But Isaac is being nice, and he's like, oh, she was more upset about the potato salad. So I guess they're kind of off the hook a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I thought he was just being nice.
yeah, I think so too. Like, she was obviously upset. There's no way to say like, oh, it was a comment that stressed her out that eventually killed her. Elaine, though, this I think is pretty like kind of not cold, but Elaine is being a little darker here, where she's like just weaseling her way in to be like, oh, so what's happening with your apartment?
Yeah.
What's going on? And I like where Elaine's trying to communicate with someone like older than her.
Yes.
Like, I'm trying to talk to you about something, but you're off in another place. He's talking about Arizona. Isaac, eventually tells her that Jeffrey's getting the apartment.
Yeah.
Cousin Jeffrey.
I love how she's just screaming in his face. Like, she gets more aggravated as the scene goes on. And then, by the end of it, she's, what's happening with the apartment? It's great.
Now, for a little bit of geography of Manhattan, it's kind of cool that Uncle Leo set up that Jeffrey's going to be working at Riverside Park, which is a pretty long park that stretches along the Hudson River. West End Ave, where the apartment is just a block from Riverside Park. So it kind of like geographically makes sense that like, Jeffrey gets that job and he also gets this apartment. He's like right there. It's like perfect. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
No, I agree.
Yeah. And the next scene is at Monk's. I guess this is after, like, this is a few days later after Jerry's championship game.
Yeah.
Now, help me out with this terminology again. George says they're frustrated, I guess, because, they lost the game. And Jerry's, like, not feeling as good as he did during the game prior. George says...
They start explaining all the things that Jerry did wrong during the game.
Yeah, help me out with this. What does that mean, like, getting picked off? Like, George is like, I've never heard of someone getting picked off before in softball.
So when you're playing baseball or softball, that matter. The rules sometimes are different for softball. It depends on... I think if like it's a pickup league, you can lead off the base. Do you know what leading is?
Like, yeah, you're just like a couple of feet off.
Yeah, so you hit a single or a double or a triple or whatever. You can take a lead off of the base while the pitcher is on the rubber, on the mound.
And they could throw it to the person covering that base.
Correct. And then so yes, if the pitcher throws it to that base and Jerry gets tagged out before he gets back to the base, that's called being picked off.
Oh, okay.
So and for softball, that would be extremely rare to get picked off in softball.
Just because the ball's so big?
Just because...
And it's hard to throw.
Well,
harder to throw.
I doubt you're going to be stealing a lot of bases in softball. It's more like casual rules kind of thing. You know what I mean? So he must have been really off base or just not paying attention, kind of signifying like his head was elsewhere, or Manya put a hex on him.
Right. Sorry.
Ooh, this is rough.
And then they get back on that topic of whether Manya was off visiting another galaxy, or as you mentioned, if Manya put a hex on Jerry. It's an okay ending. Like, I prefer the coffee shop conversation earlier.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, though, it is kind of like a nice little twist. You sort of think, oh, Jerry went to the funeral. He kind of apologized with Elaine about the comment to Isaac. He should, he deserves to win the game at this point because he's done everything that he should have done.
I'm satisfied that, misfortune had befallen him. I like that because, a bad thing happened as a result of him and he's still paying for it. There's that karma you're talking about. So it's kind of nice that they ended on a down note for Jerry.
A little bit, yeah, and sort of that mystery of like, oh, did Manya do it or not? It's nice. This is where the show, I think, it really starts maturing quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, so we mentioned earlier about Sharon Besser, and so Jerry says that this second game was the worst moment of his life, and George says, well, what about Sharon Besser? And Jerry says, well, 1973, of course. So remember I said earlier that I think that could have potentially been his best and worst moment, was dating her and then possibly breaking up, whatever the case may be. And we also talked about the character Sherry Becker being referenced in the library in the year 1971. So there's got to be a correlation there. Also, in an earlier draft of the script, Jerry's last line to Elaine in the scene was, "What are you laughing about? You're going to be next." Isn't that kind of dark?
Yeah, like you're going to be next to die. Yeah, I guess they replaced that with the last line is something like, who figures like, or who would have thought an immigrant would have a pony?
Who figures an immigrant's going to have a pony? And again, Julia cracks up. She's drinking her coffee and she loses it. Which
did that seem real?
I think so. I think that was her, Julia laughing, not Elaine laughing.
Not Elaine. Yeah.
What do I know?
All right, so that final scene, we go into the stand-up to close out the episode, and Jerry's on the topic of ponies and what's the point of a pony, except for a pony ride. What the point of a pony is, I don't know. But show up at birthday parties, and he has this great little bit. I like when Jerry gets physical with his material, and
yes,
he was saying like, "Oh, please don't ride them," and he pretends to be like a cop, like at a barricade, like being like way too short and looking up at people.
Little boy, could you stand behind the barricade, please?
And I guess he also has a bit about, could geneticists make ponies the size of a quarter and use them as Monopoly pieces? It's funny, like, there's something about the stand-up I love Jerry's stand-up, but in the show, I always feel like it starts really strong, and not that it gets weaker, but this definitely feels like material that was created around the story, not Jerry just sitting at home thinking of funny stuff to talk about. So while it's good, it's just, it doesn't fire on all cylinders like his normal original material.
I still like it. Okay, so now we will come to the point in the program where we will rate the episode. I'll go first this time, since Matt always hogs all the spotlight.
Who, me?
I like this episode. I thought it was a good episode. It wasn't fantastic, I do really like that it was our first, our intro to Barney Martin as Morty and Uncle Leo, played by Len Lesser. So, and you had some really pivotal moments in the series. The Kramer building the levels in his apartment, that line, "the pride of Krakow," that really pops. So there's a lot of moments in this show that, get referenced later on, which we discussed ad nauseum. Sorry about that. But every episode continues to build on this universe that Jerry and Larry and all the writers have created. So it was good, but it wasn't, fantastic, but still a solid episode. So I'm going to give it 7 levels out of 10.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you. I think we feel the same way about this episode. I think there's something to be said that you have a classic scene in this episode with the Pony Remark, and you also have a lot of really funny scenes surrounding it that we allude to in future episodes. Kramer with the levels, Morty mentioning Harry Fleming, also the exchange about like a bereavement fair that comes back in a sense. One thing I mentioned this earlier that I love about this episode that really makes me appreciate Seinfeld on a different level was that conversation they have about death and life and what it means to be wasting time. I think that's just fantastic, especially in regards to a show that prides itself to be about nothing. That maybe life is about those little moments, when you're together with friends having a cup of coffee. Like that's really what makes up life, are those little moments. But all in all, there's something about this episode on a rewatch that it didn't. While it has great moments, it didn't fire on all cylinders the way... It didn't make me laugh, at least, the way The Ex-Girlfriend made me laugh. Like, I don't know why. Maybe it was that transition from season 1 to 2 that made The Ex-Girlfriend so good. And now I'm just used to sort of like this, like the new Seinfeld.
The bar's been upped.
Yeah.
Or raised. The bar's been raised.
Yeah, the bar's been upped. The bar has been raised, so to speak, in second season, and maybe I'm used to this kind of like new Seinfeld era we're in season 2. So that being said, love the Pony Remark. Think it's a great episode. It's one of the best, but for me, it's just a little bit behind the Ex-Girlfriend. So I'm going to give the 7 peas bursting with country fresh flavor out of 10.
All right. Good call, buddy.
Yeah, I know. It's really hard, like, giving these episodes, like, anything below a 10 out of 10 because we love it all.
Yeah.
But the show just feels a little different when you're watching it episode by episode and you're really focusing on it and over-analyzing the plot and whether the jokes stick or not. I think it's safe to say, Vinny, at the end of the day, we would rather watch Seinfeld over any other show, right?
Darn tootin'. All right, so that's going to do it for us this week here at Seincast. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to reach out to us. Email seincast@gmail.com or through Facebook or at Seincast at Twitter.
Hopefully, we'll try to do a better job at keeping up on our posts, but you can find photos and links that we'll share throughout the week, either on Facebook or Twitter. And please, by all means, if you are just a casual Seinfeld fan or diehard Seinfeld fan, write into us and just let us know what you love about the show, and we'll try to celebrate the fandom any way we can.
Or if you happen to come across any interesting bits of trivia, we'd love to hear that as well.
Yeah, share with us. We'd love it. I did have a brief chat with someone on Facebook, how they were saying that something along the lines of they were the only Seinfeld fan that they knew. Like, no one really liked the show as much as they did. And let's just say, from 2 diehard Seinfeld fans, like, we are here.
Yeah. You're all winners!
Yeah, I think there are a lot of diehard Seinfeld fans out there that seem to just live in these pockets where there's no real diehard fan around them. And so it's easy to feel alienated and almost like a weirdo because no one likes the show as much as you do. But trust me, there's a lot of us.
Also, please feel free to log on to iTunes and give us a rating. We'd love to hear some feedback, any and every type of feedback, just ways to improve the show or what you like. So just do it. And just so everybody's on the same page, we are following the order of the episodes listed on the DVDs, not the way it's listed on Wikipedia. Which means that the next episode we'll be discussing next week will be the 3rd episode from the 2nd season, The Busboy. But for now, I'm Vinny.
I'm Matt.
Signing off.
Seincast is not endorsed by Castle Rock Entertainment, Sony Pictures, or NBC, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The official Seinfeld site can be found at sonypictures.com/TV/Seinfeld. Seinfeld, the Seinfeld logo, and all names, pictures, and audio of Seinfeld characters are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Castle Rock Entertainment or their respective trademark and copyright holders.
Funerals always make me think about my own mortality and how I'm actually gonna die someday. Me, dead. Imagine that.
You always make me take stock of my life and how I pretty much wasted all of it and how I plan to continue wasting it.
I know, and then you say to yourself, from this moment on, I'm not going to waste any more of it. But then you go, how? And what can I do that's not wasting it?
Well, is this a waste of time? What should we be doing? Can't you have coffee with people?